back, guys. I haven't done any woodworking in a little while. I haven't done any of these projects that I like to do, these garage projects as I call them. So I just kind of wanted to tinker around, not make anything that had a lot of stress to it. Just something kind of fun, lighthearted, not serious. I really didn't even have a vision when I got started. So I'm starting my intro at the end here, and I'm showing you what I ended up with. But when I started working on this, honestly, I just kind of started winging it and just was like, yeah, let's see how this goes, and let's see what we end up making today. For me, that's a lot of fun. It's therapeutic. That's how I like to do things. It's low stress. You just kind of play around. You experiment. You trial and error. You find out some things don't work. And so let's get into it. So I'm diving into this project like I really enjoy doing with no real plan. I just know I want to make an action figure shelf. So that's what I'm starting with, and I just start measuring and cutting. Part of the edge, so we're 2 inches, inch and a half, 2 inches, inch and a half. That's the idea, at least. So I'll admit, the whole reason for this project is a while back I was on the internet, I was getting some stencils for some projects I'm going to do in the future, and you'll see, and I came across some superhero stencils, different logos for different superheroes. I thought they were pretty cool, and so this whole project started as a way to build a shelf that you can put action figures on that will have the superhero stencils, have their logos on it, kind of on the background. So, of course with that, obviously, I got to do the background to it. I know I've said background 3 times now. And then we'll put the stencil on front. So that's the step we're taking at this point. After we got all our pieces cut and we got everything sanded down. So I'm just going to pop in a time or two with you guys here, because this is a lot of paint for 5 minutes. Do this little square, this little square, this little square. Do a second coat. Tape off so I have a tight... tape off so I have a clean line, and leave it alone for a few hours. Now I've gotten my background colors, and so now I'm going on to the stencils, and as you can see, I've got the I don't know, the painting paper, whatever the heck the stuff's called. Really trying to cover everything except for what I want to be stenciled, well taped down. I've got 2 of them that are going to go with the black for the stencil, so I'm going to do those. Not even touch the board for a few hours, run off and do some other stuff, then I'll remove it. I don't even want to try to pull it up and have stuff run, or pull it up and peel some paint or whatever. So is our stencil lines going to come out clean, and is it going to look good? I'm not going to know for a few hours, so we're going to just leave that. With spray paint, at least, it does dry pretty quickly, but we're going to move on. The glue is what holds the pieces together. The screws and the nails are just a temporary hold. I don't want there to be any shortage of staples in there holding this in. I'm going to keep the bottom of these kind of clean. I mean, it is a tiered shelf, so this will be visible a little bit. So I was mostly focused on trying to make sure I didn't have those staples come through on the top. So I did have a few, and on the second one I know I had a couple go through the bottom, so we'll get rid of those. Ow, well, that one hit me right in the arm. Alright, now I'm going to come back around here to just for the bottom tier one, the smallest one. And full transparency with you guys, I kind of stumbled upon this idea when I was kind of just getting hyped, and I decided to just use a couple of 2x4s to get like a judgment on stacking these, so I couldn't hold all 3 tiers. And I was like, you know what? It'd be kind of cool if we have this bottom tier, like, you know, secured on with some 2x4s. It's not for structural integrity. It's not because I have to do it. It's not because I'm not bright enough to continue it with the rope or whatever. I was like, oh, that'll be kind of fun. Like, you can use that. I'm gonna try to figure out a way to put some hooks or something on it for like guys to hang off of. You know, like the bottom tier was like a building. Like, that's the idea. These action figures can mount on this thing and, you know, kind of climb around it and just look like they're in the middle of the fight scene. That's what I thought. That's what I envisioned. That's what we're going with here. Okay, I took some careful measurements and sat this in place, and I'm ready to get her started here. Actually, let me start by doing this. Pull a lot of that through, but of course I need to knot it. Hopefully I gave myself enough. Yeah, I think I'm gonna need to make a longer cut for this. I don't think I have enough slack to tie something this big. So I think I gave myself 4 extra inches, thinking that'd be enough. Seems like I used about 4 inches though per side. Yeah, this, to get a knot, this stuff's pretty brittle and hard to twist. So okay, now I know. Anyways, I think I could probably start with these. I don't think I need to pre-drill. I just can hopefully get these in right there in the middle. Probably should have pre-drilled them, actually. Probably be a lot easier on my hands. What do you say we speed things up a bit? This video doesn't really illustrate the difficulties I had with tying the knots in this rope and getting the heights of things just right. These hooks and whatnot here were okay, but once I got to the suspension rope, it's old, it's brittle, it's stiff. And, you know, the bottom part, putting a knot on the bottom to hold it up, that was okay. But then I had to figure out exactly how high to make it, how much rope to pull beyond the height for the next tier, and then where to get that knot. And if I was off by ½ an inch on where my knot was that was going to hold it even, then I had to try and find a way to tie it and just move it by another ½ inch or whatever. Alright guys, so we have this pretty much done, ready to go, ready to mount. I do need to protect it. I'm going to put some polyurethane on it in a few minutes. But first we need to get it mounted up. We're going to use one of my favorite methods of mounting things, French cleat. Now I had a whole segment in this video where I explained how French cleats work. I showed it, I mounted it to things. And as you notice, I've jumped very far ahead in the mounting it on this little display. This wasn't intended to be a display rack. It was actually going to be an old Christmas tree decoration that never got finished. But it works good for holding things up. However, I realized through trial and error in this project that a French cleat did not work whatsoever for me. To mount to my shelf itself, I need to mount it near the top of one of the shelves, not the bottom. You know, if it is low, there's nothing to hold it in place and it leans forward. You're going to see that happen here in a moment. The backer board that the logos are on, that the superhero emblems are on, is far too thin. It's an eighth of an inch. It's very lightweight plywood, and the screws would go right through it and it would not mount to it. So if I've lost you, let me just show you what ended up happening when I tried to use the French cleat. Notice exactly where the French cleat is mounted on my shelf. It's the only place screws would go all the way through, which is the shelf itself. So the lower half of it has nothing to lean against and I guess you could say grip or hold on to. So then when you try to mount it, you see right here, it's falling forward. That's because it was mounted low to be parallel with that shelf that my hand is on. So a French cleat would actually need to be on that backer piece, but my piece that I've made this of where the emblems are is far too thin. And sometimes the price you pay by winging it is that you have failures and things don't work out, and then you have to adapt and just come up with a new solution, such as mounting things via just screwing straight through them and straight up to the wall or whatever they're going to mount to. Okay, so it's going better, but something still has to change. My goodness, guys. So many variables to this and getting it just right. You know, just screwing it to the wall. I didn't even think, I'm just, you know, part of it is my own problems with not like putting this on a wall in the house and just getting it level from the start. You know, I'm using this, which was going to be a Christmas tree stand. You've seen me make them in the past. If you haven't, you know, check out those videos if you want to. But it's just a random mounted thing I had sitting in the garage here. And I started slapping that up and never even thought about making sure that this was level. And so if you, let's see here. You can see it dawned on me that I needed to check that. So I got it shimmed and everything underneath now. That's level. It doesn't look like it, but that's because these boards, when I put them on, I also don't make sure they're level. You know, it's a little outdoor pallet yard decoration. So, you know, my base of this thing, even mounting it, I'm just eyeballing things and I didn't have level to start with. Then once I finally figured that out and noticed that, get that sorted out, I don't want to rock this or touch it, but I've kept checking over and over to make sure it's level. And not only do I need to just tie these ropes in this coarse, I don't know what to call it other than this coarse old school, you know, rope that's untwined and whatnot, and I've tied those knots multiple times. To get it to move, let's just say a quarter of an inch down, like I need my knot, you know, it's too low over here, so I need to untie that knot and twist it and work that knot down and get it so it rests and sits right there, versus, or up a little bit more. Such a pain in the butt. So then we get level side to side. I've checked level here, I've checked level here, I've checked level here. The bottom one's not as bad because we just put some screws in, you know, it's not hanging by rope. Then I have to sit sideways with it because I swear I have a speed level somewhere, but I can't find it. So I can't even really check level front to back or back to front. So I'm just eyeballing that. I have used the level to the best of my abilities to make sure it was level, but you know, whatever that, it is what it is. So then I had to untie the bottom of the front ones and sit down and kind of let it hang loose and then be like, all right, now it's sitting just perfectly level, and move that knot just like I described to you. Lots of words. If you're following, what I have learned is this is a fairly straightforward and simple piece. It's kind of cool, kind of fun. I'm almost done. I'm basically there. But I am not, I could tell you guys, I'm not making another shelf that's tied down with rope, especially with a backer board to it, and just too much pain in the butt. If I am, I'm going to find a new way to do it. It was a big pain in the butt, more so than I thought. Making this one shelf to kind of get warmed back up into the whole woodworking and garage projects. I've been doing other stuff over the winter, haven't done anything in quite a while. I'm not going to do another one of these just like this. It was fun. It's not exactly done yet, but you know, yeah, one and done for me on this. After that big headache of all those small adjustments, it was time for polyurethane. Time to treat it. After that coat of brush on, I decided to spray on, just for simplicity. So I'm curious what your guys' overall take is in this. I think it's fun. I think it's neat. I think a young kid, a 12, 10-year-old kid would like it, you know. They'd like to have it. You could kind of play around with your figures being mounted on it. Do I think I would ever make another one though? No. In fact, my daughter wants something like this with unicorns, and I'm like, I really don't want to make another one. Um, I don't think that the wow factor in it, like, I like to try to make stuff that's unique and different, you know? I mean, maybe I should just concentrate on making very nice, neat, clean pieces and high quality, and less trying to like make something unique. But I really like making things that are specifically custom, and you know, you couldn't go buy somewhere and it doesn't just look like a nice shelf. It looks like a fun shelf that's got cool little hooks and ladders on it and stuff. And you know, I just like playing around like that. That's really where I enjoy things. So I might make something like this specific for my child, but I don't think that, let's say you guys are at a flea market or whatever, I honestly do not believe that somebody's going to see this and they're going to be like impressed with it to the amount of effort it took, if that makes sense. Hopefully I'm explaining that well enough. I do think it's okay. I think people would walk by and be like, that's kind of cool. But I feel like it was harder to make than that's kind of cool. Just let me know what you guys think. If you absolutely hate it, if you think it looks like a $5 piece of junk and you're like, man, I'd be embarrassed, then tell me so. Again, I think people are going to say it's kind of neat. I feel like it took a lot of effort, you know. The effort that was put into it, I like people to say, that's really cool, you know. Like, I know, again, those are all just words. But is it really cool? I don't think it's really cool. What do you guys think? So, anyways, it is what it is. It was fun. It's pretty neat. I guess I'm going to say it's kind of cool, but it's not really cool. So, that's going to be it for today. I'll see you guys later. Like, comment, subscribe. See you next time.